Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your continued support. Well, we've had the budget with Rachel Reeves and I'm sure you all know what the situation is regarding things that she mentioned in the budget. There's a couple of things I'm going to be talking about which I think could be directly or indirectly linked or serve as issues for disabled people. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is the Motability scheme, which is as we expected, they are going to stop you buying certain brands of cars such as BMW, Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, Lexus, that type of thing, which I think is short-sighted because people talk about how much extra it costs to run these cars and to insure them and things like that, but it's all about people on PIP pay the same amount of money, whether they have a Lexus or whether they have any other type of car that's cheaper. Now, of course, they have to pay a higher upfront cost, but that's not paid for by the taxpayer. That's paid for by the person who takes the car. Now, what I've seen a lot in the media or in social media is a lot of people saying, well, if you can afford £4,000 an upfront payment for a car, then why do you need benefits? It's not as simple as that. There are lots of people out there who are receiving things like PIP who are working but need a car to help them get to work and back. Now, as I'm sure lots of people out there who are not disabled would understand, not everyone can afford a car. And certainly in the current climate, when people are, everything's being squeezed financially and everything else, bills are going up, not everyone can afford to have a car. The PIP process is there to support people because there are extra costs involved with having a disability, and that's the reason why PIP exists. And it doesn't matter whether you're working or not, you can still apply for it. So there are many reasons why someone might be able to afford that upfront cost. Maybe someone has given it to them as a gift, one of their relatives gave it to them as a gift to help them with their car or something like that. There's many reasons why they could have paid that upfront, but I think it is short-sighted because I think it's going to affect the car market. People have already said that they think that second-hand Mercedes and BMWs are going to go prices are going to increase because there's going to be less of them, because I'm sure a vast majority of the second-hand car market for these cars comes from Motability. So I think prices are going to go up, and that's only going to affect people who have already said that disabled people shouldn't get them. And so if they want them, they're going to have to pay more for them, which is unfortunate. But also, they have talked about increasing or rather starting to pay VAT for the more expensive cars on the Motability scheme. Now, this is not the entire range of cars like they thought it was going to be. Apparently it's just for the more expensive cars that they may start now requiring them to pay VAT on that car, which at the moment Motability are exempt from. So that's going to affect cars of a certain size, I would imagine, and some people, certainly people with wheelchairs or lots of equipment, might need a bigger car, more expensive car, to get that, get their equipment and things like that around. So that may impact them as well, and it's going to be difficult, I think, to work out how that's going to work. There has been a memo or a press release from Motability about this, which I'm going to link into the description below for you to read it if you are on the Motability scheme, or even if you're not. And basically they have said that they are going to try their best to work out a fair way for this to work, and they're going to try and still offer the best value that they possibly can. They have said that they don't think these new things that are coming in are going to take effect for about 6 months. So for the next 6 months it looks as though things are going to be pretty settled. They've also said that people who have ordered their car before November the 25th, which was yesterday, they will still have their orders honoured. They will still be able to get their car regardless of what make it is. People who've still got cars like BMWs and Mercedes on lease currently will still be able to keep their cars until the lease expires, but then they will have to go on to the current list of cars that are available for their next car. So, and they are saying they're going to try and work this out. They're going to try and sort out how they can do this the best way they possibly can. I'm hoping it's not going to involve a higher rate of upfront costs for people, because let's face it, you know, there are lots of people out there who can't afford a high upfront cost, if any at all. And so I think if they do start to increase it, then it's going to get more difficult, really. And certainly if it gets over £1,000 of advance payment on all cars, I can see it drastically affecting the Motability scheme and people's eligibility for it, because a lot of people just aren't going to be able to afford that kind of upfront cost. And so it's going to be very difficult for them to be independent. Might be difficult for them to then get a car to go to work. So there's lots of knock-on effects with this, which I think that it's really a knee-jerk reaction to all of this bad press that Motability have been getting. It's just a knee-jerk reaction to that. It's not really going to save or generate a lot of income for the government. It's not going to, you know, make them a lot of money. It's not going to save any real problems, or it's not going to save any money. It's just one of those things that I think has been done as a knee-jerk reaction. They had to do something, so this is what they've done. For those of you who may already know as well, they are going to be introducing a pay per mile for electric vehicles and hybrids. So I didn't see anywhere where they've actually mentioned how much per mile, but I know the kind of general figure going around is about 3p a mile. That's what they're planning to put on electric vehicles. And I think that that's also going to be very difficult for disabled people, because, you know, if you've been in the Motability scheme recently, you will know they're pushing electric vehicles. They are really pushing electric vehicles when it comes to Motability. They're pushing the electric cars, and so a lot of people who have Motability cars will have got electric cars, and now they're going to be asked to pay this extra per mile. I don't know how it's going to work out. They haven't said whether it will be the driver that will have to pay that per mile, or whether Motability will be paying that per mile. I don't know how that's going to work out. I'm a bit unsure how they're even going to be able to do it, because, you know, the only way they're going to be able to get the mileage would be during an MOT, which of course new cars don't get for the first 3 years. Servicing, I mean, for Motability, yes, they do have regular servicing, but some people don't service their cars if they get new cars, so I don't see how that's going to work. But anyway, that also could be something which may impact future prices of cars or the scheme itself going forward. So there's a couple of things which are a bit uncertain at the moment, and certainly hopefully we'll get a reply soon from Motability as to what they're going to do. It's going to take a little while, I think, for them to come to terms with it and rearrange deals that they may have done. There's also this talk that they want to have UK built cars on the scheme by 2035, like the majority of cars or all the cars made in the UK by 2035 on the scheme. Now that's quite a limiting list of cars. I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Vauxhall, Nissan and one other which I can't remember now. But there's only a couple of makers that still make cars in the UK, and that could be a bit of an issue, because obviously it limits the amount of cars you're going to have available. And if a car isn't suitable for you, what do you do? Because, you know, some people don't have or don't choose a certain type of car, a certain make of car, because it's not suitable for them. And one of the reasons why the Motability scheme has been so good up till now is because of the range of cars available to suit anybody's needs, whether you've got a wheelchair, whether you need a higher car to get in and out of, or a lower car to get in and out of, whether whether there's enough room in the actual seat of the car for you to fit, and things like this. That's a whole range of things that could be, you know, important, that may be phased out. So there's only going to be a few by 2035, potentially only a few cars available on the scheme, which again I think is short-sighted, because yes, of course we want to promote British business and British engineering and British employment. Of course we want to do that, but also you also want to make the scheme as accessible for the people that it's designed for as possible. But anyway, they're just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section, please, about this situation, and also please do subscribe if you've got this far, and I'll see you next time.